The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.
Welcome to the Tim Heale Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to have a chat with Walt. So, Walt, if you could tell me when and where you were born, and then if you can describe what it was like where you grew up, the schools you went to, and the education that you received. Not too many questions in one go, but welcome, Walt.
Hey, welcome. Hey, thanks, man. Pardon me. Great to be here. And I grew up in upstate New York, which was farming country, dairy farm. I was born and raised in farming country. My family's farm, I think I was just about 1 year old when it burnt down. So, like, my parents' farm burnt down. And then
getting responsible, wasn't it?
It was a godsend because I'd still be there farming. And my my parents, well, they'll tell you the same thing now. Anyway, at the time, of course, it was a tragedy. But and my uncle and cousin, and there's a huge farming community, and everything was dairy farms. So you could go down the main. It was Route 46. You could go down 46 and count to 5. You'd see a farm. Count to 5. You'll see another farm. You'd see another farm. It's just constant farming. And so I worked with my uncle a little bit, my cousin mostly, farming until I got into my teens. And education.
So was this all sort of cattle that you were dealing with? Milk, dairy? Cattle?
Dairy.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, dairy. Holstein. So the classic black and white cow that you see. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Frisian, we call them.
What do you call them?
Frisians.
Yeah.
They're the black and white ones. So, yeah, Holstein, I guess, are the same sort of family.
Yep.
Good milk producers. You don't breed them for milk. You don't breed them for meat. You breed them for milk.
100%. Yeah, you keep them. You keep them. You basically, you breed them so they give birth once a year or twice a year, depending on some people, and then that way it keeps their milk production up high. So, and then that was through grade school. I went, where I grew up, it was kindergarten through 6 was in a little elementary school, and
is that like Little House on the Prairie, sort of a 1-room school with a handful of kids? No.
Well, it's actually that's a great question. Actually, now that I think about it, it is one big building. It was one big building, and in the middle was the library, and then the classrooms were on the outside of the library. If you looked out from 4th grade, you could see the 6th grade classroom. That's how it was set up. Yeah. And and then our middle school was in a complete different town, complete different situation, where it was 7th and 8th grade. And that was set up to where, like high school, where you went to class, you had to go from one class to the next, but it was 7th and 8th grade. And then it was 9 through 12 in a complete different building in a complete different town. That was my...
So I guess you spent an awful lot of time on the big yellow buses when you was a kid.
And these kids nowadays have no idea what a freaking snow day is. Dude, I used to have to shovel the driveway to get to the school bus. But
sounds like fun.
Yeah, I lived way out in the country. Most everybody did. And then, you got bused to the school.
And that's right from kindergarten, was it?
Yeah.
So in kindergarten, you had to battle your way down a drive to get on the big yellow bus to take you to school.
100%. Yep. And as I got into like 4th and 5th and 6th grade, me and my buddies would ride our bicycles to school. But I think it was 6 miles one way. And it was down like 2-lane country roads. So, I mean, it wasn't flat. If you ever been to upstate New York, there ain't a flat place in the town, I think. But so we would ride our bikes back and forth to school at that time. 7th and 8th grade, I think in 8th grade, some people were driving to school because you could at that time you could get a permit at 15, and you could start driving by yourself at 16. And some people were 16 years old in 8th grade. But in 9th grade and 10th grade, I started driving in high school. I had a car. My parents, growing up, my parents were very adamant that you pull your own weight. You work hard. And they said, my mom said, 18 years old, man, you're out of the house unless you're going to school, unless you're going to college. We'll pay. You can live here as long as you're continuing your education. If you're not out by 18, you're paying your rent. And I was like, okay, I guess.
Good incentive, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm the youngest of all of us, and I saw that happen like clockwork. Boop, boop, boop. Everybody was out. I go, well, there's no exception here. And I actually left when I was just 17. I got my own place. I was working a couple jobs. You know, my parents instilled incredible work ethic and responsibility in me. I mean, if you don't work for it, man, you ain't getting it. Nobody's going to do it for you. And I've been taught that since I was very, very young, and I still carry that wholeheartely now. Well,
let's just take it back just a little bit. Let's just have a look at your middle school. What was that like?
Oh, middle school. Remember the presidential? Oh, I don't know. You probably don't know, but the presidential physical fitness test. That you had to do so many push-ups, you had to run a mile within so many minutes, and all that in gym class. I remember that in middle school, 7th and 8th grade. And then what was really cool about where I went,
it must have been fairly easy for you, because if you're riding your bike 6 miles each way to school every day.
Yeah. But one thing I did notice in middle school, the cliques that started happening. So you had me, I was part of the farmer clique, the country boy clique, because I wore work boots and jeans and a T-shirt, and in the winter flannel shirt, and I wore a baseball cap. And of course, you couldn't wear it at school, but I'd wear it to school, leave it in my locker. Yeah. But one thing I did like about middle school, they started with like the shop classes. So like they had wood shop, and they had a mechanical shop. Like, they taught you how to work on cars and woodworking and stuff. And growing up in my environment, most people knew how to do that, but it kind of like fine-tuned it. It gave you like an education in it, instead of your dad going, go change oil in the car. And you're like, okay. So that's one thing I do remember about middle school, was the cliques were starting to form. So you had your guys your heavy metal guys that listen to heavy metal music, your skateboarder guys, and then of course the girls had all their little cliques too. But that was that's a big memory for me in middle school, because that got carried into me through high school, because you end up in a building, and now you got even more different people of all walks of life. And I remember my not first day, but within the first month of high school, 9th grade, you would assemble in the lobby before the bell would ring, and then you'd go to home, whatever class that you were going to go to.
Yeah.
And I was messing around with some of my friends, and I shot a rubber band, and it hit this long-haired heavy metal dude. And he's like, and Tim, I'm telling you, man, it was the classic meet me after school on the tracks, literally on the railroad tracks that ran along the high school. I was like, oh God, geez. All right. And we went out there after school. Of course, everybody's crowded around. Everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
And his name's Matt. And by the way, we're still friends to this day. But that day, he's like, you disrespected me. The classic stuff, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, we're not fighting, man. This is cool, man. We don't need to do this. And he hits me, and I'm like, listen, bud, whatever, man. I got older, in my mind, I'm like, I got older brothers, and I grew up like this, and
Yeah.
I said, listen, we're not fighting. And he hits me again. And I was like, all right, listen, dude, I told you I'm not fighting, but if you hit me again, I'm not going to sit here and be a punching bag either. And he hits me again. And the next thing I remember, my friends are pulling me off him. And I gave him a pretty good beat down. And of course, we end up in the principal's office. And the principal's like, I'm calling your mom. Okay. Okay. I mean, and he goes, your son got in a fight. And my mom goes, did he start it? He goes, nope. He goes, nope. She goes, send him home. I'll take care of it. He's like, but click. I mean, and I started getting into some trouble at my later time in high school and after high school. And the cops never pulled me over. They never did anything to me. They recognized me. They called my mom. So I'm thinking, I got away with it. Oh, look at me. I'm big. I'm tough. Look at that. I got away with it. And I'd come home, Tim, and this is part of the reason I started my show. Here she is holding court at the kitchen table, smoking a Pall Mall, drinking coffee. One eye half closed. Where were you tonight? Fuck. Yeah, she caught me. But going back to high school, and I went home, of course, after all that happened, and same conversation. She's sitting there smoking. She says, did you start it? No, ma'am. You finish it? I guess. I don't know. We're not fighting anymore. And she's like, okay. Because growing up, there was a few things that my mom beat into us. You never get on a motorcycle or any motor vehicle without a helmet. You always respect everybody, especially women. You never hit a woman. And if you don't start a fight, you finish it.
Yeah.
Those are things that my parents instilled in me. And then the other one is you pull your own weight, which means you do the work.
Yeah.
You don't
get chores, you get them done.
Yeah. You want something? Well, go work for it. Okay.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I'm fair than that.
Yeah, And then high school, I ended up, I believe wholeheartedly, and I'll take responsibility, of course, about some of this. I was not challenged in school. My whole school career, I was not really challenged. Like, I feel they kind of shuck me to the side, like you're not following along the program. See ya, dude. And and I didn't push back really because I was a kid. So like, all right, I don't have to do anything then. And my parents were like, if you get solid C's and B's, that's what we care about because that'll carry you through. And they understood that school has its value, but I feel that they just shove you through the system, and I don't really
satisfactory.
Yeah, and I don't really care where Saturn is, so I don't want to sit here and learn about that, But anyway, and so I went to a trade. My last 2 years of high school, I went to a vocational school. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yeah, got the right idea. So trade schools is where you learn a trade rather than carry on with your academic studies.
Correct. Yeah. So 3/4 of the day for my last 2 years of high school, I went to diesel hydraulic tech. So it kind of fit because at the time I was working at a rental store, where you rented heavy equipment and ladders and, everything from a painter's platform to a full-size excavator. And I figured, that fits kind of what I'm doing. So I got a degree in that. And then when I came out of high school, I had a couple jobs. I was working at the rental store full time, probably 60, 65 hours a week. And then at night, I was, what they call it, a head something. So at a grocery store, you have all the cashiers at the front of the store, right?
Mhm.
I was the guy in front of all the cashiers, making sure they were doing their job and putting this guy on break and making sure she's covered and, doing that logistics.
Yeah. So you're supervising.
Yeah. So I was doing that at night. And then when I get off from the store, me and my boys would go out drinking and partying. I'd come in at 4:00 in the morning, get a couple hours of sleep. Then I'd run the rental store all day, go to the supermarket again at night till 9 or 10, and then go out again. So
Crazy.
yeah. And then I was like, man, this. Where's the
It's
end?
not sustainable.
100%.
It's not sustainable.
100%. But then I started looking at people in this small town that I grew up in. It's like the earth was flat because when somebody left, they didn't come back. So I'm like, I know the world's a big place. And my parents are always like, this place will always be here. Get out of here. Go, explore. If you ever want to come back, you can come back. And I got an opportunity when I was 20 to go to Colorado. So from upstate New York to Colorado. And I left upstate New York, got to Colorado, and in a couple weeks, I started working for Coca-Cola. And I put 18 years in out in Colorado with Coca-Cola. I put a full career in there.
So what were you doing with Coke?
So I first started, my official title was merchandiser, right? So these tractor trailers would go to Walmart. I don't know, like your big supermarkets out over there.
Yeah,
And
Walmart is here, but it's under a different name. It's Asda. So
okay,
yeah.
But
So we got big supermarkets like that.
Okay, and then what they would do is dump a whole tractor trailer load of Coke product in the back room, and then my job was to go to that supermarket, pull everything out of the back room, and stock it on the shelves so the consumer could get it. And that's what I started with, and then.
All right, because normally the shop guys would be doing that. The guys in the shop would be stocking the shelves.
Yeah, out in Colorado, that was the vendor's responsibility to shop or to stock it. Yeah, and then I was like, and I'm super physical. I love sports. I've been playing sports my whole life, and once I moved to Colorado, I was, and then I go to the gym. I just like it, being physical. But I realized really quick, stocking those stores, if I was going to make a career, because at that time, you're an older gentleman, 25 years ago, no, you get into a company and you do a good job and you stay there for 40 years and you get a pension. That was the mindset. That even my dad and my parents are like, oh, good. Coca-Cola is a good company. You can work for them. You got retirement, insurance, that type of attitude. So when I'm stocking shelves, I'm in it a couple of years. I'm like, man, if I'm going to put 20 years in this joint, I can't be doing this physical stuff, And, and I was young. I was like, 21, 22, but I just realized, okay, so if I'm 35, I got some years in looking way ahead. Yeah. If I'm 35, do I really want to be doing this? So I got into sales and then just worked my way up through in sales, and ended my career in what they call cold drink. And what that is like bars and restaurants, how they have like the fountain drinks, like a bar would pull the gun and, I would go to bars and restaurants that serve competitive product and be like, hey, you need to switch to Coke, do that. And,
yeah. So let's just take you back a little bit there.
Sure.
sports. So during school, were you sporty, and did that come through during your school days, or did it just stop manifesting itself when you got to Colorado?
In Colorado, because when I was in school, I was working all the time. I tried my hand at wrestling, but the people that depended on me for my job are like, "Hey, dude, you got to be here before that time." You know, and I was making really good money for as young as I was, so that was a pretty good driver. And then I got to Colorado and I got introduced to a lot of sports, racquetball, football, broom ball. You guys familiar with broom ball?
No, never heard of it.
So if anybody's a hockey fan but can't skate, broom ball is what it is. It's exactly like hockey. Same rules, same positions, same goal, same theory.
Yeah.
But you got basically a Converse shoe with a pad on the bottom and a ball about a little bigger than a softball. And then your quote unquote hockey stick doesn't have a slash on it. It's got a little rectangle pad on the bottom. And then you play exactly like you would hockey. And
without the skates.
But without the skates, you got to like physically run on the ice, and the shoes kind of give you traction. They don't, but you get to learn. You get to learn how to, you get to learn how to use your body weight and slide around, and there's tactics to where you slide on your knees and hand pass and that kind of stuff. But I was on a traveling team, and I traveled all over the country competing in that. We had a lot of fun. It was super fun. And then
so did Coca-Cola give you the time off to do that?
Once
it was a community event.
No, I did it in my free time. And then if anybody listening knows about hockey and ice rinks, excuse me, do you know that you can't get cheap ice because you got to rent an ice rink to practice and to play?
Yeah.
You can't get cheap ice unless it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of times that stuff was late at night. Yeah. But yeah, time off was no big deal. By that time I had years in at Coke, and I was getting 5-6 weeks of vacation at a time. So it was easy. And then I practiced and taught martial arts for almost 10 years while I was out in Colorado.
All right.
Yeah, that was
the old Jap slap, eh?
That was so instrumental in getting me back on the right track. I was kind of losing my way with the people I was hanging out with and the things that I was doing. And I was interested in martial arts, but I didn't want to be in like this school where there's 50 people and you kick for half an hour and then okay, you're done. And like, what the hell? I don't want to do that. So I was asking around, and I ended up meeting this young kid. I call him a kid now, but he was
not the Karate Kid.
No.
Wax on, wax off.
No, that's what was cool about this dude. He was just straight up. He didn't do all that crazy. He's like, but he did like you're doing forms, and he'd have a stick, and if you weren't right, he'd whack you with it, And I learned a lot, Tim. I learned a lot about just life in general. Like one day I came in pissed, just really upset, and I wanted to fight. And him and I've been training under him for years at this point. And I come in and I threw my bag down. He's like, "What's up, dude?" I go, "You and I are sparring, man. Come on, let's go." He's like, "All right." And I
can see what's happened here.
Yeah, I'm a big guy, and I was even bigger then. I mean, and we get on the mat, and he's about my height, but he's this little rail. He's real skinny. And I go to backhand him, and the next thing I know, Tim, in a flash, I'm on the ground on my back, and he's got me in an arm bar, and my vision is blurring because he's choking me out. And I was like, oh, that's a good lesson. That was a super good lesson. With my arm extended out, and I'm 6'1", with my arm extended out, he grabbed my arm, and he's 6'2". He jumped up, still holding on my arm, wrapped his legs around my neck and slammed me to the ground, slammed me to the mat like that, like boom. I was like, all right, I know my place in the food chain. But
your limitations.
It was a good lesson because I thought I was big and badass at that point. I thought I was this awesome dude and I could get my way out of anything. And really humbling, Tim, really humbling it. And those little instances like that come out, and
So you mentioned football. So is that American football?
Yes, sir. There was a friend of mine at the time. He was overweight, and he wanted to. We had these leagues, city leagues and state leagues, and he wanted to lose some weight, and he wanted to play football. And I said, "All right, I'll go. I'll support you, man. I'll go help you out." And we went it was open tryouts, because it was like a state league, and he gets put on the team, and the coach was like, "Don't you want to play?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I'm here." And he's like, "Oh, play." And my buddy's like, "Come on, play with me." And I'm like, "All right." So I played a little bit on the offensive line. Again, I'm a little bigger guy, so he put me on the offensive line, and one day the defensive end didn't show up, and I don't know how much you know about American football.
I know a fair amount. I've played it in my past.
Oh, nice. So he goes, "Blau, you want to play defensive end?" I go, "Dude, I ain't got a clue what that means, but sure." I go, "Give me a couple pointers." Because at the time, I watch football here and there, but he goes, "Seal the corner, make sure the play ain't coming your way. If that doesn't happen, kill the quarterback." Okay. I'll do that.
About right. That's a good pointer. So I played outside linebacker and defensive end.
Do you know what's going on?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was using drugs at the time, and I don't know if you know the classic Giants linebacker Taylor.
Bridge.
Oh, what's that?
Lawrence Taylor.
And I would use before we'd play, and I became one of those guys. It was basically, back country football for me. Like I would tackle the quarterback and like step on his chest to get up, or grab his face mask and slam his head into the ground and talking crap the whole time, talking about his mom and his sister. But that was just my thing about that. But I played like that for a while in the league. And then I got out of that league because it just got unorganized and it was just weird. But a guy says, "Hey man, try rugby." I was like, "All right, give me some pointers." And he's like, "Just come out and try it, just come out and play." I'm like, "All right." Oh, dude, that didn't last long. Those guys are nuts, man.
What are you on about? Rugby's a brilliant game.
I love the sport. Absolutely love the sport. And I have all the respect for those guys that play at that kind of level. Holy man. Whew. Oh.
Well, I played for a lot of years.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah. I started in school, and I played my last game for the Royal Anglian Vets when I was 56.
Oh, good for you, dude. That is so cool. I love to hear that, man.
I was a scrum half.
Hey, dude, you're out there playing though, right?
That's fun. Playing scrum half is a great place. I mean, you can be gobby and all sorts, and you get the ball, you stick it in the scrum. What they do with it, I'm not quite sure. Pops out. You
Here you go.
You're pushing people around. You take that. You take that.
Oh,
yeah, have that.
I was years and years ago. I was watching me and my buddies were in a bar, and we were watching rugby. And it's super fun to watch. It's even, as you know, it's even better in live. Oh my God. What that is, the crowd. Oh my God. So much fun. But we were watching it and a guy got a penalty for sticking his finger up the other guy's butt. I was like, oh, come on. I remember that. But I played with this group and they would compete like with another team once a week. Okay. And he's like, we practice twice a week. I said, okay, so 3 times a week. All right, cool. I can get down with that. And the first practice, this other team showed up. And I'm like, aren't we practicing? He goes, yeah, that's how we practice. We just play another team. So you compete 3 days a week. You don't practice twice a week and play. You compete 3 days a week. And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, all right, I'll try it. It didn't last long, dude. Yeah, those guys, that's a God bless. Godspeed, dude. Good for you, man. 56 getting out there.
You have to be a bit fit. I mean, I was starting to slow down, so occasionally I get scragged. I was getting scragged more often. I think it was either me slowing down or a number 8 slowing down.
Yeah.
He's supposed to look after me, and he never did.
No. That's and then I dated this girl. So I grew up in upstate New York, and Syracuse University is a big university up there. And lacrosse is a big sport for them.
That's a dangerous game, that is.
Dude.
Played by girls. That's savage. Savage.
I thought I was a savage football player. These guys made me look like a 5-year-old girl playing with Barbie dolls, man. These guys. So this girl I was dating, she's like, hey, my brothers play. I'm like, all right, I'll play, no problem. I get out there and I look like a fool. No problem. I don't know what I'm doing, but my heart's in it and I'm having a good time. It was super fun. But it's like soccer. I weigh 260 pounds. I am not built to run like that. No. But I've given it a go. I'm doing the best I can. Well, come to find out, her brother, who I was playing with, older brother, and her dad have their mural painted at Syracuse University because they're so good at lacrosse. And I'm like,
so state champions or US champions.
Yeah, I was like, so basically you gave me a Honda Civic and you told me to go into Formula One racing. That's what you basically did to me. And she's like, yeah, you son of all right. I had fun doing it. So I would mess around with those guys quite a bit. So every night, and I thought it was great with my martial arts that my instructor, to hold the position that I had, you had to be CPR certified. You had to write 2 theses a year. You had to volunteer, like quote unquote soup kitchen volunteer. You had to go do something. Mm-hmm. You had to have so many hours a month doing that. And then of course you had to teach classes for the school and know your stuff. So that alone kept me really busy. But I was going, Tim, I'd get out of work. I'd go to the gym. I'd go to martial arts. I'd hang out with my buddies for dinner. I'd go practice broom ball. I'd come home and start all over again. I mean, that was a long time.
Sounds like you kept you out of a little bit of mischief anyway.
No, nowhere near. And chasing girls, had to chase girls, dude. Whew. Wow, that comes naturally, right? But sports were a big thing. I see the value, I know the value in team sports and that type of thing. That's why I want to get my son into stuff. Obviously, if he's interested, I'm not going to cram it down his throat, but I want to have some kind of pads on him as soon as possible. The camaraderie, the teamwork.
Yeah.
Somebody other than me yelling at him, the communal thing where if adult tells you not to do something, you just got to listen to him. You know, he or she's not being mean. They don't want you to do that,
Yeah.
you know? So just trying to teach them like that. Like growing up, I'd get yelled at by the butcher in the grocery store and I'd come back to my mom. He's yelling at me. She's like, well, you probably deserve it. Hi. Well, no sympathy from you. So I guess I'm moving on. But yeah, that's, you know, and as work goes, when I was in my 12th year, and I remember this because I typed it up. When I was working with Coca-Cola in my 12th year of employment, I typed up my resignation letter dating my hire date at my 20 years. No matter what, I was leaving at 20 years. I didn't care what was going on. And my coworkers and my friends, they're like, well, you don't have anything going on. I go, something's coming up. Something's going to happen. I'll get an opportunity. And I had a side gig. I was a security guard and a bouncer at night. And I made, Tim, stupid money. It was crazy how much money I was making with those gigs. So I was making good money at Coke. I was making good money doing that. So I was like, you know what? Something's going to come up. And year 18, a friend of mine out in New Jersey, so I'm in Colorado, out in New Jersey, had a video photo production team company. So they made like commercials and TV shows and that kind of thing. She was really small at the time. She was like a 1-person, maybe 2-person gig. And she still is. We're great friends even to this day. But she's like, I love producing content. I don't like doing the business part, like going out and looking for business. I'm like, hey, man, that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, man. I know how to do that. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. Gave my notice at Coca-Cola.
2 years early.
2 years early. 2 years
Did
early.
you have to change the date on it?
Yeah, I did. I made a big deal out of it too. I put some white out on it. It was great. But it was a good opportunity. She had something kind of established. She was still real young, 1.5 years old or something. And we joined together and worked. We worked 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's no exaggeration. I was completely unhappy in my marriage at the time. That's my first wife. So it made it easy for me to be like, I'm going to work. Oh, I'll stay here and work on this. Oh, I'll go do that project because I didn't want to go home. And 2 years to the date, her and I ended up in the studio because you have to, once you film, you got to bring the stuff back and back it up. And, you know, we don't want to lose it. And we just it was a Sunday night and we just both crashed out on the studio floor. And we're like, something's got to change. Using your words that you said earlier, it was not sustainable to work that hard. And we made some adjustments and then we ended up being extremely successful. Business dove a little bit, but we were building a team. Ended up with 10, 11 people, I think 12 people, I think at one point, employees, making really good money. And then it just, something about it wasn't in my heart anymore. And I said, you know, people depend on me and I can't phone it in. It's not, I don't feel right with with the people that depend on me. So we ended up basically dissolving the company. I left. She still has the company, but it's micro compared to what it was. And I ended up getting back in the corporate world with U-Haul, the moving company.
Yep.
And I'm an area field manager, which when I came home from the video company one day, Tim, and I told my wife now, and I go, I got to get out. I'm just not in it. it's not a good environment for me emotionally, and that kind of stuff. Without even thinking, she grabs this scrap piece of paper, throws it in front of me, gives me a pen and goes, write down 12 things you want out of a job. And I was like, huh? She goes, come on, man, write. And like force me to, jot it down. So come to find out, we talk about it later. When you don't think about it and you write it down, it's more true to your heart, right? Because it's there. So I write down 12 things just real quick. And the job that I'm in hits on 11 of them. So I think the 10th thing I wrote was I want to wear shorts to work every day. Because I'm the guy in the middle of the winter. I got shorts and a hoodie on. It could be 10 below and I got shorts and a hoodie on. I mean, I'm just that guy. So I'm like, that'd be great if I could wear shorts to work every day. And my brother says, hey, man, there's this area field management position at U-Haul. I think you'd be really good at it. So I looked into it and ended up there. And I don't punch a clock.
I'm wearing shorts in the winter.
I wear shorts 7 days a week, my friend, every day. I don't think I can even remember. At our Christmas party for work, I wore shorts. I wore a dress. They looked kind of dressy, and I had a button-up shirt on. People were like, you wore shorts? Every day, man, every day. Yeah. But yeah, now I can't even, there's no words to describe how happy that I am with my position in my job. I got an absolute rock star for a wife. She just, and I got a beautiful 15-month-old son, man. He's just, I'm 47 years old chasing a 15-month-old around. And that dude keeps, yeah, exactly. He wore me out yesterday. Yeah. He wore me out yesterday, bud. And I loved every minute of it. But man, I was like, oh, dude, can I bottle some of that? I could use some of that, dude. But a story that I don't know if we talked about it before, but when I was with the video company, I ended up paralyzed for 2 weeks from my waist down. I woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't feel from my waist down. My back just kind of, all these activities we've been talking about. We ain't even got into the motorcycle crashes yet. Right. But all the activities and stuff, my back just gave out. But these people that lay in the hospital that can't move or
yeah,
I got just a respect. I've always had a respect for them, but now I lost it. I completely lost it. Every night. I mean, I basically cried myself to sleep every night. And then and I wouldn't tell my wife that I cried to sleep. I just pretend everything was cool. And then the day before my surgery, I lost it. She held me and I cried, dude. My body hurt. I cried so hard, but I came out. Now I can deadlift 500 pounds and run a 30-minute 5K. So life is good. Life is good. Yeah.
So let's talk about some motorbikes.
I like motorbikes.
What was your first bike? When did you start riding motorcycles?
Dirt bikes. I had a Suzuki 225 that I couldn't straddle. So I would put one leg up on the seat and rev it and get in motion and then jump on the seat. And then I would ride that around. So that's when I started riding dirt bikes. But my family and my dad especially, we had four-wheelers, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, every kind of motor vehicle, recreational vehicle you can imagine we were messing with. And then, of course, got street bikes, right? And growing up, I was always a Yamaha fan. Everything I owned was a Yamaha. I think I owned a Honda 4-wheeler once because I got a really good deal on it. But
so did you ever have a something like an RD 350?
a what?
An RD 350
RD350.
Yamaha. It's
RD.
the 2-stroke.
Yep, the old yellow and black one.
Well, I don't know what colour you had them in, but yeah, the RD tended to be the sort of the race replica.
Yep,
but it was a 2-stroke, and we used to scream and nuts off of it.
Oh yeah. I had a YZ for a while, YZ 125. That thing just set your hair on fire. That thing would go so fast, dude. But then I had the 4-wheelers I always ran were like racing 4-wheelers, 2 strokes. I had a lot of 2-stroke 4-wheelers as well.
They're not proper motorbikes, though, are they?
No. And my dad and my older brother got into enduros for a long time. So the on-off kind of what adventure bikes are now. Back in the day, they were an enduro, right?
Yeah.
I never really got into those because once I turned 16, I got into speed. So I had all the inline 4 racing bikes and crashed those and did all that and then got into the V twins, which I love a good V twin, dude. And my dad and I, once a year for many years, we would go for a week or even a little longer, and we would travel somewhere. And the last one that we did, we left upstate New York, and we went under the Great Lakes up into Canada, around the Great Lakes, and came home. That was super cool. I just really enjoyed spending time with my dad like that. You know, I remember
was that camping, or was that in log cabins, or
a combination
motels?
Combination of motels and tent, depending on the weather. I remember we got poured on for days, and we got into this laundromat in this little town, and my dad, God bless him, dude, strips right down to his underwear. So he's right in his tighty whities, sitting in the.
So he's doing a Levi advert, is he?
100%, dude. Not a care in the world. Tighty whities, everything's in the freaking dryer, and he's got the newspaper. Read it like he's in the diner. Not a care in the world, dude. I'm like, what? So, I remember that. That was fun. And then one night we end up at this restaurant, and she's like, we only have this one table left. And it was the sweetheart table. So it was like heart shaped, and it was really small. And we made fun with that. And, but I have so many great memories of riding motorcycle. I've been in every state except for Louisiana, Alaska, and Hawaii on a motorcycle. I've made it a point to travel and ride through, and not just like jump the border and come back. No, we got into the state and we had some time, maybe stopped and had lunch, whatever it may be. But I've been to Sturgis, Bike Week down in Florida, rode the coastal highway. And I tell you, Tim, if you ever get a chance, if you haven't, you might have seen it, Yellowstone National Park.
Is that where Yogi Bear lives?
Yep.
Boo Boo.
Yep. That guy stole my lunch, dude. And
Yellowstone.
And going through there is like being on another planet. It's all bubbling and smells like sulfur, and what it looks like, especially on a motorcycle, as you know, you can feel the difference in the air pressure. And yeah. And just there's some beautiful places around the United States that I think people take for granted. They think they got to travel the world. And it's like, man, if you just travel around the United States, you're going to see some things that don't look like they belong here. You know, they belong like on another planet, you know? But been all over the country on a motorcycle and just love it so much, man. And we were talking earlier, my last bike, and I had this in Colorado before I moved. I had the Raider, Yamaha Raider, which is a huge V twin. Yeah, and I put big 18-inch apes on it and moved the pegs and the big fat back tire, and it was a single seater. So my next thing I was going to do to it was
put a sidecar on it.
No.
So, wait, take the wife and kids then.
Yeah, exactly. But no, put a suicide shift on it. You know what those are?
No.
It's a hand. So you know how on a motorcycle you pull in the clutch with your hand and you shift gears with your foot, right?
Yeah.
No, a suicide shift is a lever that comes up by your leg where you normally would shift. And it's a hand clutch, and you move the lever like you're driving a stick shift.
All right.
So then you're only operating.
We used to have them on bikes years ago. An old Velocet. We had a hand start and hand gear change on it.
No kidding. How big a bike was that?
It was it's what the old police used to ride. It was a 200 cc. It's it's a Velocet it's called, and it was all boxed in, and there was a hand gear change and a hand start on it. And it was a real proper challenge to change, ride that around.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's what I was going to. Have you ever driven one with a? Hand shift.
So I had this Velocet.
Oh, you owned one?
It was from early 50s. Yeah,
you didn't like
a long time ago. I think it had a Villiers engine in it. But
a what? A what kind
of Villiers engine? Villiers.
Where was that manufactured?
It's an English one.
English.
Made in England. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've had, I don't know how many motorbikes over the years, but I used to have an awful lot of English bikes. I mean, I had a Rudge Ulster, a 500cc Rudge Ulster. I had an Aerial Square 4. My first motorbike was a BSA A10 Gold Flash with a sidecar on it. I used to run that around the farm. I had a Triumph Trophy, 250 Triumph Trophy. And then I got into Japanese bikes. I had a 250 Honda. Then I had a 380 Suzuki GT380, which is a two-stroke.
Yep.
And I thought I'd been clever. So I upgraded that to the 550. Oh, that was a mistake. I used to get about 15 miles to the gallon out of this 550 two-stroke. Yeah, it was a real thirsty beast.
Yeah.
And then I got the GS 750, and that was a terrific bike. And I had that for a while, and then I traded that in when the GS 850 came out because that had a shaft drive on it. Didn't have a chain, had a shaft drive, and it's so smooth compared with the old 650 BMW I had, which was a killer. You daren't change down if there's anything keeled over at all. You had to change down in a straight line because the back wheel would judder and step out. Yeah. Gear change on it.
Yeah, that's what
the Suzuki was brilliant for that. I mean, drop down 2 gears as you cranked right over. And solid as a rock.
Now, what is it with let's see if you correct me if I'm wrong. I know that a shaft drive pushes down when you throttle or gear, but a chain pulls up.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that if I can remember that right? Because once I got a V twin shaft driven bike, I was like, there ain't no going back. This is crazy. Wow, this is amazing. But my big Radiant, the big bike I had before I left, that was belt driven. So
Yeah, seen those. I've never really fancied a belt-driven bike. So I've got a 1200 multi-strada at the moment, and that's doing me well. I mean, we've done, I don't know, nearly 13,000 miles on it.
oh,
I've taken it around Europe. We've done several tears around the UK on it, so it's a fine weather bike. I don't like riding in the wet anymore.
no, so wait a minute. It's not a fair weather bike. You're a fair weather rider.
Yeah, that's probably more to it.
Hey, back in the day, dude, I would ride in anything. I remember my buddy and I coming across Wyoming, and we were physically following a plow truck in the snow. And I'm like, what are we doing, dude? Why are we out here? Now, as I got older, I was like, nah, dude, is it nice out? Yeah, we'll go riding. Is there a chance of rain? 40% chance of rain. Nah, I'm not going riding. But
My mate has a really good story when I was in the army in Gillingham in Kent. I arrived back late one Sunday night, and it had been snowing. It was freezing cold, and I stopped outside the block, and I couldn't put my feet down. I couldn't move. I just went donk. Help! Help! Anyway, the guys came out, and it took them about 5 minutes to stop laughing before they'd help me up.
Oh yeah, dude. I'd be taking pictures and everything else before I helped you up, man. I'm that guy. I'm that friend. I'll help you, but I'll be picking on you.
That was He takes pleasure in telling that story all the time.
we were coming back from Las Vegas to get to Colorado, and you got to go over a 14,000 foot mountain pass. And there was a snowstorm on the mountain. And my buddy and I decided to throw the two bikes in the back of a U-Haul and haul them back. And when we crested that mountain with the snow, and I'm like, good thing we're this in the back of the truck. But yeah, it's and the bike you have now, what drive is on that? What's your drive system?
It's chain. Yeah, it's a 1200 V twin. It's a Ducati. I mean, it's a gorgeous bike.
Oh, Ducati makes. Oh my God,
I love my Ducatis. So I just sold I had a track day bike, which is a Ducati 749S that I used to take to the tracks.
Yeah, for sure.
It was so much fun. Horrible thing to ride on the road. It's a beast on the road. On the track, it just came alive, and you could really throw it around on the track. It just stuck to the track like it was going out of fashion.
Now did you trailer that to the track and then ride it, or did you ride it to the
track?
Ah, my man.
Ragged it around all day and then rode it home again.
My dad says the only thing that belongs on a trailer is horses and race cars. Yeah. So you see those guys trailering motorcycles, but I don't know. Sometimes there was times I'm riding and they'd ride by me with them on the trailer, and I'm like, oh.
Depends on where they're taking them and what they're going to do. But if it's racing, then I can see the point of doing that. But if you're just going for a track day, then you ride it there, ride it back.
Is that did it have suspension on that if you rolled over?
It's all adjustable suspension, and I mean you get it set up for yourself, and that's why it was just a pig on the road. It was just horrible on the road. It was set up for the track really, and I had it. I mean the forks dampening was done right. The rear spring was set to the right, just to stick on the track.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just horrible on the road.
You run over a nickel, it's heads or tails, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, feel every bump in the road.
Oh God. And I almost because after the suicide shift, my plan was to take my seat off my bike and put an old metal tractor seat on it with a spring. Look at that face. I love your face. Love it.
Yeah. Don't
And
fancy that idea.
and then make it a hardtail. So then the only suspension would be the little seat, right?
Oh,
And then I rode somebody's hardtail, and I was like,
no.
that ain't never happening. That ain't never happening. I like that big fat shock holding my ass up. So
Yeah.
that and then it just handling a hardtail, you can't corner or nothing with it. I mean, it's horrible. I don't know why anybody would want a hardtail. It just doesn't make sense to me. But
bizarre behavior, if you ask me.
It's what?
Bizarre behavior.
Yeah. I mean, if it's like a show bike, and I get that part, but if you're riding it at all, I just don't. And then they put the like extended forks out. You know, I was trying to keep my bike at a performance based as well, because, dude, I like ripping corners, man. I like, I love grinding my front pegs and touching the ground. You come around a corner and you lean out and you can actually rub your gloved hand down on the pavement. That was cool. So I was trying to get that rat ride look where it looks like it's falling apart. Like I had my
just a few nuts and bolts, it'll fall apart.
Yeah. I had my exhaust all taped up and flat paint, and just I tried to get it that look, right? But I still needed that performance out because I just love to ride. I mean, there is nothing like riding, man. And people asked, when I crashed, they're like, "How come you could ride again?" And it's like the times between each crash,
they're fun.
It's fun, right? Look at the experience and the people that I've met and the places I've gone and the things I've done. Between each crash, if I quit riding, I wouldn't have those experiences, and the whole high risk, high reward thing, I guess. But that's
not quite the same in an RV, is it?
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, and unless you break the windshield out of the RV.
so anybody can have comfort.
Yeah, but it's just. There's some, and people ask me all the time on my show, and like we're talking about it here, and they'll say, "What is it about it?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I can't give you an accurate description that would justify what it is. There's this sense of freedom that you have that I just can't, And I would tell my wife, I go, during the ride, I would solve all the world's problems. I had a solution for everything. And as soon as I got pulled in the garage and I put the kickstand on, gone. I forgot everything I thought about, And Oh, here's a fun motorcycle story. I had my Radian, the one with the apes and stuff, and I just got the tank painted and the back fender painted, and it had a dull paint on it, but it was a proper paint job. And I normally, I wear contacts. So when I'm riding on my bike, I would have a pair of clear safety glasses, right? Because the way I had my bike set up, my leather coat was wrapped up like old school 70s stuff on the handlebars. And I would put my clear glasses. So during the day, I'd wear sunglasses. At night, I'd put my clear glasses on. Well, we got drinking at a bar and things were happening and the sun went down and I said, "Oh boy, I got to get home." I came through town, and again, my bike is really, really, really loud. And I stop at the light, and I think we talked about before. I don't know if I mentioned it. When I put my 18-inch, my 18-inch apes on, I didn't put the return spring on my throttle, right? So here I am in a condition that I shouldn't be in, riding a motorcycle. I roll up to the stoplight, and I'm sitting there, and I didn't return the throttle back to what it was. I just pulled the clutch in and pulled pulled to the stop. And I was in a condition I shouldn't be. And I'm like, oh, whew. And I turned the throttle down and I hear this woman going, hey. I'm like looking around and I got my sunglasses on because I forgot my clear glasses. That's why I told you about that. And this lady's jaywalking across the intersection. And you could tell she's probably in the same condition I am. Without even asking, she sits on my back fender, wraps her legs around my waist, and goes, I need a ride home. And I was like, I got to get out of here. Again, I'm in no condition to ride. My bike's loud, and I don't need to make a scene. So I just take off. And Tim, the first thing I thought of, I looked down because she had high heels on. I looked down. I'm like, man, you scratched my paint. Anyway. So she's like, turn here. We get to her house, right? So I pull up in front of her house and I'm like, you just need to go away in my mind, And I'm like, oh my God, this is bizarre. And she's like, hey, thanks for the ride. You want to come in? And just as she says that, Tim, just like out of a movie, boom, the front door kicks open. Some dude comes walking out of the porch. Who are you? Of course, he uses all sorts of crazy language. Her left foot just cleared my seat. Brown. I took off, man. I left a tread mark and everything. I was like, I'm out of here. And I pull into my garage and I got jeans and I had a work shirt on and I had my leather coat or my leather vest on because I always wore a leather vest. And I'm like, oh, jeez, I smell like this cheap perfume. Wow, man, I got to go into my house. There's my wife, and she's going to be like, what the hell is going on? Dude, I stripped right down to my T-shirt, and I sat out in the garage for a minute, and I'm like, I'll leave everything out here. Hopefully I don't smell too bad. And what a crazy, that was my buddy Mike. He rode with me for years and years and years, and he's a Indian fan. He loves Indian bikes. But there was another story with a woman that kind of like that, but she was a little on the heavy side, and she did the same thing to me. And my buddy Mike will not let me down about that one. He's still to this day. He's like, just over the weekend, because I told him a funny story about my son. He's like, yep, just like his dad, getting in trouble with. I'm like, geez, dude, let it go. But yeah, motorcycles are great, man. And people get scared of them. And even when we crashed with my wife, we crashed on the 405 in LA, and people are like, will you ride again? And she's like, if the bike worked, we would have been going down the road right now, and she'll get right on. She trusts me, and she gets right on she'd get right on a bike. But yeah, I love motorcycles, man. It's in my blood. And I've had so many motorcycles like yourself. I could sit here and rip them off too. And one question I do have for you: some of them older English bikes, were those 2-strokes, or were they always been 4-stroke?
There were a few 2-strokes. I had a BSA Bantam. That was a 175. They did a 150. They were 2-strokes. There were the Triumphs and BSAs. They tend to be 4-strokes.
4-strokes, yeah.
Yeah, there was a mix, but
did you have to?
The sort of BSAs, Nortons, they tended to be 4-strokes, twins. Yeah.
Okay.
Singles.
And on those 2-strokes, did they have an oil reserve, or did you have to mix the oil?
No, back in them days, you had to mix it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Castrol.
Yeah.
You had to give it a shake before you started it, else you'd just get oil into you.
Oh my God. What you just said.
Smoke like it's going out of fashion.
Yeah, at least they got rid of the
Castrol was a lovely smell.
Oh, all that stuff just was going through my head, but I'm like, I'm going to ask him because I know he's going to talk about that. Oh, that old 2-stroke stuff, man. You had. I remember in our garage, in our shed, we had mixed and you had straight. Yeah. You had a 5-gallon mixed. Yeah. Yeah, 2-strokes, man. That's a whole. Whoo, boy.
Oh, different ball game again.
Yeah. But that's I could talk about motorcycles forever. and
Yeah.
tell you stories. And I remember we rolled up in Vegas. We did a suicide run from Colorado to Vegas nonstop.
That's hard work, that is.
Dude,
That is hard work.
we made, my buddy Smitty and I, we made a bet with somebody. We were out riding on a Saturday, and they go, and we were kind of in northern Colorado at the time. We were riding up in that area. And they said, I bet you can't make it to Yellowstone and back in like 4 days. I was like, Tim, I'm telling you, we looked at a map and we went, it's only that far. We can make it. Oh, we rode so hard. And we didn't have any luggage because we left. The bet was we had to leave right then.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife is like, where are you? I go, I think I'm in Idaho. And that was fun, man. But going back, we rolled into Vegas and we went to park him in a garage, and this young kid come out, and we were sunburnt, haven't washed in 2 days, road grime. And he looked at us. I go, can you park this? He goes, I don't even know what that is. And I was like, I got it, buddy. Don't worry. Where you want it? He literally pointed at it and goes, I don't even know what that is. Okay, dude. All right. I get it.
Oh, crikey, Walt.
Yeah.
We could go on all night.
All day, dude. All day.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I've enjoyed that immensely.
Same here, my friend. Same here.
You take care.
All right, buddy. You too.
The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.